season 7, episode 49, where we watch 60 Days In, season 7, episode 1. And my friend stabbed me 12 times, and I barely survived. And here I am. I'm Chris Lorenz.
Why are you being a bitch? This is Brian.
You be Kobe and I be Shaq. This is Noah Singer.
I have a headache. This is Six Max In.
Well, this is your first time listening. Those are all quotes from the show that we watched this week. But last week we watched, what did we watch? We watched Zombieverse on Netflix, and we gave it a. You guys had a, we had a poll on Twitter. You guys gave it a middle third show. So you agree with some of us and didn't agree with some of us. But Noah, what do we watch this week?
Attempting to eliminate rival gangs, drugs, and corruption at their facilities, chief jailers are enlisting members of the public to help. Building on the tremendous success of previous undercover operations in Clark County, Indiana, and Atlanta, 60 Days In continues in this description is not accurate this season. They recruit people that are former inmates to come and help root out the issues in their jail. Filmed around the clock, A&E's network's hour-long docuseries provides a warts-and-all view of life behind bars as the volunteers adapt to unfamiliar and terrifying surroundings. That is 60 Days In on A&E Network.
Wow.
Slight tangent before we get into this is our co-host Brian has pointed out in the chat is we did not watch Zombieverse last week. We watched Fight to Survive, and we had a tie on our poll on Twitter between top, middle, and bottom third. And the reason I screwed that up was because our poll is still live. So I was just looking at the notifications. So
It's all right. I mean, it was on the CW. You know, you can't remember stuff on the CW.
this is more of an X issue. You know, the excrement wasn't over, so I screwed up.
X got you.
Makes sense.
X is gonna give it to me. Yeah. So this show, 60 Days In, is pretty interesting. It kind of flirts the line between documentary and reality show, but it seems like the producers have devised this whole thing that they're gonna put 7 people into jail, 6 or 7 people into the jail, and they're gonna give like a review, like things they can improve upon in the jail, and we're gonna watch them go through this process. And the show it's like really intense. They're really trying to push a narrative that jail is an intense place to be, and it is the last place on earth you want to be.
I am convinced after watching the show. I am very convinced.
I'm not convinced that this is how their situations really rolled, but this show makes it look really rough. Like
It looks terrible.
They're pushing that narrative for sure.
This show is the opposite of Orange is the New Black. That show made jail look so fucking cool. I would have loved to go to jail.
Yeah,
now, women's jail sounds awful.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's this season. I think is as we are in 2023 is like set in the COVID times, and I definitely did not appreciate being thrown back into COVID times.
Years of television just going to be thrown away because nobody wants to watch it.
Maybe the next generation will want to watch it because it'll be like interesting to them to see how everything worked out.
I mean, it's like watching Titanic, right? Probably don't want to watch the movie in like 1920, but
well, you don't want to watch the movie if you were on the boat ever,
right?
So
things get better.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, actually, I wanted to mention that we watched season 7, episode 1. In the description last week, you said we were going to do season 8. We didn't do season 8 because it wasn't available on Hulu or any streaming service. You would have had to have some sort of cable login. But so it's on Hulu. even with a cable login, season 7, episode 1 was not available. At least on Comcast, they wanted me to charge for it. They wanted me to pay for season 7, episode 1, which was really weird because the rest of the season was free. I don't know what the business model is there.
I just found this on AETV.com.
Okay, so
Interesting. Yeah, I watched it on Hulu, but it's actually really annoying. So I have Hulu. Like, if I pay for a year and get Disney, I'm not allowed to get Hulu with no ads. Like, they won't allow me to upgrade. So I have to get Hulu with ads, which is like really losing money for them.
I believe there is a way to get the bundle without ads, but I don't know if you can prepay for the year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you get like basically a free month, and so I got to message your support team. I'm assuming if I message, I'm like, "Yo, I want to give you money." They'll be like, "Sure, let's figure that out."
I'm gonna have a hot take on this one. I think ads might have made the show better because it's like not as intense. Like you get that break from the intensity.
Interesting.
Like, it was pretty intense. Like halfway through this episode, I really just kind of wanted to take a break because it's like it's pretty serious. Like clearly, I could do that with a pause, but like that's what I got.
This is a like Chris Lorenz first. Ads may have made that show better. I'm gonna like this is gonna go down.
You're gonna have to take that. You're gonna have to clip it.
I know this is clipped. This is recorded.
Yeah. So the show starts off with our boy Reginald. He is the first black sheriff in Macadona, Georgia. And he came into this prison. He like now runs a prison. It's like, it seems like it's a real bad prison. Like it's probably the top state level prison. So It's got aggravated assault, murder, people who murder people. I don't know what they're murderers.
Generally, yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, it's kind of late here for me.
It's all right.
Week.
Sheriff Reginald B. Scandrett. Very, very strong name.
Reggie B.
Yeah, and we find out that Reginald and our boy Shaq were hanging out.
Crazy.
And is Shaq wanted to be mayor? Is this real? Does anyone believe this?
So I believe that Shaq wants to be mayor. But what is Shaq doing in another reality show? Unclear.
But he wasn't. That's just like B-roll footage of this guy. It's not like it wasn't like, hey, Shaq signed up to be on this show.
I mean, he did sign off on it, right? He had to sign off on being on the show.
Are you gonna turn down a paycheck like that? That's easy money.
I doubt you get paid for that.
Yeah, you think Shaq got paid?
Yeah, I think he got paid. I think you're for something like this, you're gonna want to get paid.
If Shaq is trying to become a mayor, why would he not sign off on Shaq like saying he's trying to be mayor in a reality show? That wouldn't make any sense. You wouldn't take any money for that. You're like, it's free publicity.
Well, what if so this is actually pretty neat. I'm on the Henry County website. So this place takes place in Henry County. Shaquille O'Neal is still the director of community relations. You can email Shaq directly or call him. They have his number. I guess his office phone on his website, and you can call him.
Should we call him?
Wait,
no.
So Shaq is what now?
He's the director of community relations for Henry County. Like that's why he's in the show.
Okay, so he's not the mayor.
No.
Okay.
Director of community relations. Now, why is he the director of community relations for Henry County? That I don't know.
It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna go try to find out. Maybe he's from here. I don't know. No, he's born in New Jersey.
All right. So all of the people going into prison in this season are ex-convicts. So we get to meet two of the people that go into prison. So they are, since this is COVID times, they have to quarantine as they go into prison. So we've got Carlos. He has been in jail. He was in jail previously for 3.5 years for possession of a deadly weapon or possession of a weapon. he was obviously the first one we get to see go in. His real job is he drives a truck, and he's been married for 16 years. He's got 3 children, and he was stabbed 12 times.
Why was he stabbed 12 times?
Because he left the gang or something.
Correct.
Is that right? It went by pretty quick. So all his like gang buddies stabbed him 12 times, which that's pretty impressive to survive.
Yeah.
You know, because he was stabbed in he had a big gash in his head and like on his abdomen and his stomach. Like,
I'll say being stabbed once, pretty impressive to get out pretty clean.
Well, I assume because if you get shot in the stomach, it's like a very slow, painful way to die.
Yeah.
So I assume
I've never been shot in the stomach. I do not
know anything about
gunshot wounds.
You didn't know that? Well, now you know. If you get shot in the stomach, it's a painful, slow death. But considering it's slow, it's easier to save you because. So that's why I assume when you get stabbed in the stomach, you might have it's not hitting any really vital organs like your heart or your lungs or your brain. Things that would really make you not be alive. So I don't know. What do I know?
I'm pushing about things.
So we go into this cell, and it's 2 people in a cell for 23 hours, and they let them out for 1 hour. And this is really hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
because it's
very hard.
It's just watching Carlos go insane. He's they're so excited to do this program because I read online their guesstimate is they get $3,000 an episode. So if they make 10 episodes, that's $30,000, which is a lot for an ex-convict. Or I think the season might even be 12 episodes. So they might make a lot of money, being on the show, which is, I assume, most of the motivation, especially for
they're making. I mean, the intent is to make $500 a day, right? That's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah. So especially the last guy, we'll have to talk about what his motivations are. But they're not pumped to do this, but they are they have to play up pumped to do this really to in their confessionals and to our boy Reginald, are you ready for this? And no one's going to be ready for this because 23 hours in one cell, for the guy side seemed okay, just really boring. You're just hanging out with this guy that you don't know for so long with nothing to do. At least give him a book or something. Give him the Bible. How is there not 14 Bibles in every room there?
Yeah, some form of entertainment.
This is cruel and unusual punishment.
It's insane.
Yeah. Lynn also had a pack of cards at in her cell. We'll get to her in a second, but sometimes they might have some entertainment, they just didn't show it.
Yeah, they just showed this guy working out. He just did exercises every once in a while. And who knows what day he actually snapped. I think it might have been more than one day because we see him kind of sleeping, but you kind of just don't get out of bed in this situation.
No. It's easy to look at this right now and be they could have done something differently, but in the height of COVID with a lot of uncertainty, this is the right decision to make, right? You didn't know how infectious it was, how often people were dying. You can't.
No, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be in their cell for 23 hours and a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe they were offered a book. I don't know. I'm just
right.
It just seemed like we're watching these people go insane, literally.
No, they really are.
So and we know solitary confinement is not just, quarantine for coronavirus. People get thrown into solitary all the time, and definitely read some stuff where you just go insane. You've got nothing to do, and you're just by yourself. That's solitary. You're just by yourself. I think I'd go insane.
Yeah,
it'd be nuts. So for Carlos, we've watched this guy go insane, and by the end of the episode, he decides to do the like I need a break or like I need to get out of here sign, which is like I have a headache. And then like that's the end of his storyline for this episode. Is like he's trying to get out of there. Now, whether that means he's going to be off the show or not, or they're going to put him back in. It seemed like the clips for the next time on made it seem like he went back in, or like attempts to go back in at least.
Definitely
I watched a little bit of the next episode, and he was in.
Oh.
Whoa, Brian.
What about the woman, the white
Well,
girl?
let's talk about her right now. Because unless there's something else you want to talk about with Carlos.
No, take it away.
So we got Lynn. She was in 8 years for theft. She's an ex-addict. She works in a warehouse. And like I don't think I could come up like the way the show presents this scenario, which I'm not 100% convinced, but they make it seem like no one shuts up at any hour of the day in this coronavirus quarantine zone. And I couldn't like, if you're talking about torture, it's like looks like literal torture.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
No bueno.
Like
when Lynn started, she explained like what happens sometimes, and that's like women are gonna be like loud to like try to be like the strong person there, and I think that's what was happening.
Well, like the show made it seem like it was 24/7 that people were screaming. So like if somebody's screaming 24/7,
well,
like
no,
it's not just like it's not just one person.
They also spoke about it that like it was the crazies go to sleep during the day, but they're crazy at night. And so
yeah, but then is somebody screaming during other people screaming during the day then?
They did show around 11 a.m., like noon, people were screaming also, but you know, they made it seem like when you want to sleep, they're up, and when they're up, you want to sleep, you know.
I mean, it would only take a day for me to like one night for me to then just sleep all day. Like,
oh, it's terrible.
Like, but
Either way,
so that's what I'm saying is like, even if somebody's screaming all night, like that's terrible. Okay, you're gonna probably start sleeping during the day with all the crazies. But like, if somebody's screaming at night and then screaming during the day, like you're not getting any sleep.
It's like, but like, I wonder how they do food because like you're inside here. They didn't show the lights ever going out, and so what is day, what is night, really kicks in if it's purely just lit, right?
It's just like food. When does food come?
It's food, and like if that 1 hour, where do they go, right? But it's like it's such a mindfuck.
Get to see the hour and all. Yeah,
no, it's terrible.
It looked miserable. Like this show, I think is like I think it's a good show, but it's like Schindler's List, where like you don't want to watch it, but you know it's good.
It's
right?
a tough watch, yeah.
Like it's just like
I agree.
I don't like. I feel like this would have been a lot better without the COVID piece, but like this whole like quarantine section is just it's like too hard to watch.
I totally agree. It very much felt like that. It's like it's good to be aware and feel compassion and empathy for these people, but like it is very hard to sit through it.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I think that, you know, then they're trying to tell more of a narrative than I think really how bad it really is. There was definitely an article online that like somebody from season 1 made it seem like they like edited it in a way where it seemed like it was worse than it was for him. So that's kind of where my head is at.
But like, why would these sheriffs agree to have their prison on the show if they make it seem worse than it actually is?
They did have a theory for that on the website I was on. I'll have to find it here quick.
I think that's okay, right? Like, at least like with this sheriff was Reginald Brackett. You know, he's like, look, this is basically free consulting, right? So the county don't need to pay for it. and they get a report on like this is kind of how things are broke, so I think if you look at it like that and we expect to find things are not going well, we know things are not going well. If you're transparent with that from the upfront, I think you're okay with it, right? Because you're just like, look, this is my job now. Over the next 2 years, we're gonna fix this, right? Like, then if you don't fix it over 2 years, it's a different story.
I think that I think there's two reasons here. One reason is that the prison itself gets money from A&E or whoever's producing this.
Yeah.
Immediately, they get money, so that like helps them fix some of their problems that they they need the money for. And then the second thing is probably more of a moral thing. Is like, oh, I'm on this show that makes prison look like the worst place on earth. So hopefully people will like not go to prison.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it succeeds.
Whether like this is the worst prison ever, like I hope that he doesn't think that, but like he also like Reginald also doesn't have final cut on this thing, so like I assuming the other seasons are also as like hard hitting as this one. I imagine it's more of the like moral and like he knows it's shit and he says it's shit, so like he's setting the expectations, at least in the edit that we saw.
Yeah, I imagine you they have a good idea going into it, right? It's like, all right, but this is the double deal. Okay.
Yeah. So we meet a third person very quickly, which is Darius. He was in jail for 10 years for armed robbery.
Oof.
He has a girlfriend named Katie, and Katie gives birth to their baby boy while he's in a hotel to start the show.
Yeah, dude, what is this?
Crazy.
So this is where I'm like, they got it. Like, this person has to be in here for the money. Like, it's like when people go on a loan and they're like, I'm out here because like this money will give my kids a better life, right? And like that's literally the only reason he should ever be on the show, right?
Yeah.
Chris, what if they're blackmailing him?
Sure. So like it was either I go to jail, I'm out of your life for 10 years, or I go on this show for 60 days. Sure, yeah.
You just said that's the only way. I was like, there are other ways.
All right, Mr. Writer over here. That's fair. We don't actually get to see him go into prison, so we don't know his quarantine nightmare is like, but he's already in some sort of nightmare by missing the birth of his child, which I feel like that's like a big moment. Like you don't really want to miss that.
What if he wasn't into it? What if like he's queasy? Maybe was his whole plan.
I just think there's like fundamental emotional connection you have with his child if you see it when it's first born versus not. But what do I know?
Was surprising. It was surprising.
Like, yeah. No one can probably speak to this better than anyone else here.
Why is that, Chris?
Probably. I'm not sure. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it was just surprising, right? Like,
yeah.
It's yeah, I mean they must just be like really strapped, and this is again like a quick way to make some good money. Like,
I mean if this dude can make like 30 to 50 grand in 60 days versus they never said what his job was, so
right.
So
but yeah, totally, you can't blame him for that.
Yeah, so he's just trying to provide for his family, and I think that you end up in this whole like COVID hellhole. At that point you're gonna stick it out.
Yeah, so, like I do wonder how this show is outside of COVID. Like, is jail somewhat better? Right? Like, oof.
Well, I'm sure regular jail is better than this, but like, is solitary confinement better than this? No.
Yeah.
It might not have a lot of screaming people in it, but it might. Who knows? Well, it depends on which one you're in.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the few benefits of solitary is you don't have other screaming people in your cell.
Well, sure, not in your cell, but like tangential to your cell, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to put waterproof, soundproof cells.
They
in
might.
there.
It's
I
solitary.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't.
right?
Yeah, but if you're, I have to imagine some people designing these things do really want to like think these people are the scum of the planet, so they really
Sure.
don't want to help them that much. And I think that
Mhm.
soundproofing them would. I think it could go either way. You either want it or you don't want it.
Hmm.
Because then if it ends up being like what we see in this episode, because like people just randomly screaming, then that's
Yeah.
torture. But if you can't hear anyone ever, and the only interaction you have is like people putting food in your like cell, that also
Right.
seems like torture, right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, let's get into some questions. Would
Questiones.
this show be better as a TikTok or Quibi?
I don't think it's thematically correct for TikTok. Although there are definitely, I've seen TikToks from inmates who've smuggled in phones and they just record themselves doing shit.
I
Really?
am swiping
Yeah.
so fast
Whoa.
on any of this content, so I don't think it would be
Wow.
better as a TikTok.
But it would give you
Wow.
that break that you so deeply wanted.
The
Yeah.
break between what? My fun content? With
Yeah,
some-
like so you get like this deep content and you
I
go
don't
with somebody
need- I
making
don't-
a sandwich.
I don't need this content. That's for
I didn't know prison talk was a thing.
Oh, it is.
Like-
I haven't gone that deep on it, but I've definitely like seen one here and there.
okay.
Wow.
Prison talk. There you go.
Wow. Like,
Uh,
has there been like prison YouTube and prison Twitter and prison Facebook, and now it's just moved to TikTok?
I don't know if there's been like
Well, there was
anything
that
like that.
prison. There was that prison love show. So like it probably was like
Hmm.
prison letters, like some sort of Penthouse magazine style. But they have like letters from people in prison, maybe.
Do you think they have
Hmm.
prison Uber?
Yeah. Okay. All right. What are some drinking rules for this show?
Hmm.
I don't know. What is
Finish
a
your
good
drink when somebody taps out for a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think you should also take some drinks when there's a fight. There's a fight.
Yeah.
I think that's where.
Take a boot of beer every time you see orange sandals, because you also own a pair of orange sandals.
Every time they make some delicious fruit wine in the toilet, have a nice sip of some delicious fruit wine that you yourself have been fermenting in your toilet.
Wow, that's
Okay,
very nice.
we need some real rules. Anytime you see somebody's hands on the jail bars, take a drink.
Hmm.
Anytime you see a stab wound, take a drink.
Well, there you go. This game, this would be a good show for the game where you put the mustache on the TV, and anytime it matches up with
Ooh.
like somebody,
Yeah.
you take a drink. Have you guys ever done
Very
that?
nice.
I forgot about that game.
No, but it sounds nice.
Yeah, it works really well with like a talk show too, because like they'll be
Ooh.
in the same place a lot.
Yeah.
So let's do what we love about this show. Max, what do you love about this show?
I think it's great that it really shines a light on some crazy shit out there in our not so beautiful nation.
Noah, what do you love about this show?
It's a peek into a life I have no understanding about. And I think it's captured vividly. I don't know if it's accurate because I just don't know, but it's definitely vivid and it feels accurate enough that I believe in it. So I appreciate that.
I'd say at least 50% accurate. Like it was what they show in this show feels terrible. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was terrible. But was it terrible 24/7? I don't know. But that's it. Brian, what do you love about this show?
I kind of love that it showed that even ex-convicts can like do something more. Like sometimes it feels like, oh yeah, you went to jail, like things are over, but this gave a little bit of like faith to people that like, oh, you can also like help others avoid the same fate.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I won't relitigate it, but I love that the show has like a a narrative and a tone that like has like a moral compass to it to like show how bad prison can be, and hopefully try to convince people not to do bad things to get into prison. So that's what I hope they're trying to do, besides making an entertaining show. So we do a rating system. We do a stack ranking system between top, middle, and bottom third shows compared to other reality shows. Brian, what do you got for me?
I think I'm going to put this solidly in the middle. I was really uncomfortable during this, but I still wanted to watch more, like enough that I wanted to check out episode 2. And it's a lot. I wouldn't like binge this, but I may just watch it occasionally and be like, all right, I learned something new.
Max, what do you got for me?
I think I would want to watch one like maybe halfway through the season just to get a real taste of what the show is like. But the first episode, it was a little slow. It was really heavy material. I don't know quite how to rate it, but I'm going to go with like middle third, top of the middle, and yet I don't really want to watch that more.
Noah, what do you got for me?
Yeah, this one's really tough. Like I reserve top for usually like I want to watch more of it, and I will watch more of it. And I do want to watch more of this, but I won't because there's so much content out there, and I just don't have the luxury of watching content to feel educated anymore. To a large part, I watch content to just like kind of relax and chill and be entertained. And I don't know if I call this entertaining as much as more of like educating. So I'm going to break my rule here. I am going to put it in the top, but it's bottom of the top because it isn't going to pull me in enough to watch it. But I think it's very well done, and it's very good for schools. I think they should probably show this in schools.
This is, instead of home ec, we're going to have prison. What can go wrong in prison?
I mean, well, it's like the Scared Straight. I don't know about you guys, like in high school.
Yeah, the Scared Straight thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is super effective. If you want to get the people like, hey, watch out.
Yeah. So I'm going to put this in the middle. I think that, I think the show's produced really well. It has a strong narrative. It's got, I think the shots are really good. I think everyone involved is doing a great job. But I think the whole COVID thing really throws this season in such a turmoil that like it can't be anything but a top third. It can't be a top third, and I don't want to watch any more of this. But I might watch like season 8. Like I might watch a different season to see how that kind of pans out because I don't want to see people in quarantine. I didn't want to see it 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I don't want to see it today. I think some of the worst shows we've seen have been quarantine style shows, and I am out. So we're going to put it in the middle for that reason. And that's it. Tell us what you thought about the show on Twitter or X at Who Put This On. We'll have a poll on Twitter. Let us know what you thought it was top, middle, or bottom third show. Now we usually do some shout outs of other stuff we've been watching or doing. And I'm going to give a shout out to Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm still playing it at over 100 hours. It's really fun. And I'm still doing crazy stuff. And the second shout out is It by Stephen King. Very good book.
That's a big book.
It is a big book. I'm reading it with a podcast called Kingslingers, and it's pretty good. I like it. Brian, any shout outs?
No new shout outs. I'm just still trying to work through Barry. Like I'm on the last season, so
I'm
excited to finish this. It just keeps getting wilder.
Man,
the show changes tone like every season.
It really does.
It gets like, when you think you're going left and then you make a hard right. You're like, did I like that hard right or not? I'm not sure, but it was well done.
I mean, I thought 1 and 2 were lighthearted enough And then 3 and 4 definitely dipped more into like this is kind of hard to watch, but also I gotta know what happens.
For sure. Yeah. Max, you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I'm trying to make a bit more of a dent in Zelda before Starfield Dust, whatever comes out.
Starfield
I think
Dust?
it's just Starfield. I don't think there's any dust part.
I don't know. Stardust, Dust Fields,
Stardust isn't that an RPG? Yeah, whatever.
Stardust Valley.
Stardust Valley. Noah, you have any shout outs this week?
This week. Let's see. So, I've been listening to a book called "The Lords of Easy Money." I'm just about halfway through.
Is that a children's book?
Could be a children's book. I actually some nights I read to my babies Jerry Seinfeld's book of all his jokes, and I read them different jokes in the book. But this book, The Lords of Easy Money, is about quantitative easing and how the Fed manages money supply. So, really a page turner. But I enjoy reading it.
Talk about torture.
Oh, it's well written. It's written like business drama.
I would read a wiki article about that.
Yeah,
the wiki article is the same thing.
Yeah,
I really like business drama books and like podcasts, like what's it called, Acquired. I find it super entertaining. So I enjoy it. So I'll give a shout out to that, and then I don't know if I shouted this out before, but Poker Face on the
Poker Face
on the Peacock. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I would recommend it. It's been a very enjoyable watch.
What was that show? It's like a show from like the 80s or 70s or something. It's like pretty formulaic where you know what the murder is right from the beginning, and then you watch somebody figure out the murder. And I just don't like that format. I think that format seems very silly.
So you watch Poker Face?
I saw the first like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the show. The show is you find out the murder, and then the main character figures out how that murder happened.
Yep.
That's the show.
Yeah, but like
it's well done. General, it's like a very well done, well directed, well written. Like it's a great show. I just don't like that format.
Totally. Like I very much get that. And usually it's not as entertaining. Something about this, and I can't put my finger on it, it's just entertaining. Yeah. Or for me at least,
For sure. And that Jerry Seinfeld book, is it called Is This Anything?
Yeah, exactly. Is This Anything?
Okay.
Yeah, so I read them jokes from it sometimes. They don't really get it. There's no pictures in it, so it's not as entertaining for them.
Would you expect them to get it? Actually, are there any jokes that have hit?
No. So the
tough crowd.
Error of I just move forward in the book, right? I don't find jokes for them, so I just keep going, and it's like the book is broken out by decades, and so the era they've heard jokes is when Jerry is really keen on observational differences between men and women, and for some reason it doesn't really strike a chord with them.
Before we go, on that note, I took a tablet and I mounted it in my bathroom, and it is playing Seinfeld 24/7.
Amazing.
And
is it real Seinfeld or like AI deepfake Seinfeld?
No, it's just Seinfeld seasons 1 through 9 on shuffle 24/7.
Nice.
And it's just really fun to go and like you walk by the bathroom and you look in and you're like, oh, this is the episode where George buys the cashmere sweater with a dot on it, and you're like, that's funny. Yeah. And then you like walk on and you smile on your face just because.
So do you have the volume off, and then when you go in you unmute it?
Right now the volume is just always off, but I have some ideas to upgrade it to like put the volume on, but for now it's just off. I tried.
What do you mean upgrade it? Like what do you mean?
Well, like there's no real good way to turn the volume on. Like I have a Bluetooth remote that I found on Amazon to like turn the volume on, but like it doesn't have great Bluetooth connection. So like if you
I see.
like if you leave the remote on, the remote turns itself off and then doesn't
Yeah.
reconnect to the tablet. And then if you leave it off and you turn it on, it doesn't necessarily auto connect to it. So there's like some
Yeah.
electronics I'm gonna buy and look into figuring out if I can do better job than that. But
Yeah, I
it could
feel
just
like
be a limitation of the Bluetooth tablet.
you got to
as well.
create like a little Raspberry Pi button or just like a little app button on your phone that just mutes and unmutes,
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's what you need.
yeah, exactly. You know, you go to the Appy Store, you go to the app clouds, and you just click the buttons, and it just does it
Right.
for you. Yeah, right? Like this is how the world works,
Yes,
right?
like
Right, Brian?
This is
I just-
exactly how everything works.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
go to
you
the
can-
I go to the Chat GPTs and just have it, you know,
The Chat
write things.
GPTs?
It writes it for me.
I mean,
All right, we gotta go. I'm out of here.
you're tired. Well, yeah, you're late, kid.
Yeah. So you can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On. You can find us on-
X.
What show are we watching next week?
No,
Oh,
Yeah, no,
next
what
week
show
we're
are-
watching
what
shows
show-
next week.
Which show are we watching next week, Noah?
Next week, we're watching Welcome to the Furies.
It's on the
Netflix.
Netflixes.
The
So
Netflix is.
season 1, episode 1. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And we'll
Sorry,
see-
At Home with the Furies.
At home. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Max.
check the
Yeah,
show
I was
description.
actually-
check the show description. That'll have the right wording.
I was actually Googling right now because I'm like, oh, I don't think I got the title right. So thank you.
Okay, you can email us questions, suggestions at who put this on at Google. Gmail.
Who put it on?
We'll see you guys next time.